Welcome to Bonn, Germany. We are here at the Worldwide Wissen Congress, which is the German-wide Global Citizenship Education Congress. And I'm happy to introduce Vanessa Andreotti.
Thank you very much for inviting me for the interview.
Yes, thank you, Vanessa, for having the possibility to ask you some questions. In the post-colonial theory, historical patterns are the base of theory. How can education help to eliminate those patterns which are always creating inequalities?
Post-colonial theory, first of all, is not a theory that gives you the answers. It is a theory that raises lots of questions. And it helps us go into places of discomfort, of looking at harmful patterns that we have repeated in the past, from historical patterns from the past that we are repeating still today, so that we can be taken to the edge of these patterns, to the edge of our imaginaries, and start to try to imagine existence together differently. So post-colonial theory doesn't tell you how to do that, but it takes you to that edge where you interrupt your satisfaction with the life that we have, with the existence that we have, and you start to be able to start to imagine something different, walking together with others, but walking together differently, knowing differently, thinking differently, relating differently, and being in a different way.
So when we as educators try to conceptualize educational settings that maybe display the inequalities a little bit more than others. For example, in encounters between the North and the South, especially school encounters where you really see the inequalities between those two different groups. How can we conceptualize those educational settings to not provoke stereotypes?
So we're coming from a system of schooling that is based on Enlightenment ideas, on ideas of the Industrial Revolution, and it's organized according to those ideas. And this is not a system that prepares people to face the complexity, the uncertainty, the plurality of the world, or to look at increasing levels of inequality. So we need to shift the ways that we think about education in order to prepare young people to face a plural and undefined world, a world that doesn't fit in any box, a world where people do not fit in boxes. And I think this is one of the greatest challenges for education. I would say too that the emphasis should be on looking at the big story we have been telling ourselves about development, progress, and human evolution, where a group of people are told that they are the leaders, they have more knowledge, they are developed, and they can dispense help, education, and aid to others, while another group is told that they lack knowledge and education, they need to catch up with development, and that they are backward. And in many times, they believe it as well. So this is a big story that we have told ourselves that divides the world between the first and third worlds, developed and developing countries. And we need to start unpacking this and saying who defines this, in whose name, for whose benefit, how come, and how can we imagine development, progress, and evolution in different ways. So I think that's part of the challenge of preparing people to encounter each other on very different grounds.
Mm-hmm. So post-colonial work and work in critical education and anti-racism trainings, they always say that we have to act very correctly, like politically correct, and that we have to see, okay, what is our backpack of our colonial our colonial backpack. But like I, as a white man or woman, I mean, it's not my fault what my ancestors did, yes. So why do I have to act politically correct? Why do I have to do such an effort on all these things? And why do we have to talk about this even?
So the idea here is that although it doesn't feel we are connected to each other, we live in one planet and we are connected. And the ways that we are living today are based on patterns that have been established by other generations. So even though we feel that we have nothing to do with the past, we still benefit from the structures that were created in the past. And there are different approaches to that then. One approach is to say, okay, let's just create a policy and then sort it all out, or let's just do the right thing and then things will be sorted. My approach is very different. It's about understanding that we are all complex inside, and that humanity is very complex too. Generally, when we talk about humanity, we associate it with goodness, but actually humanity is a spectrum of things. Inside each of us, we have the potential to do terrible things and wonderful things. Each of us. There's no good people and bad people over there. We have everything inside because we are interconnected. And we need to remember, not just in the intellect, but in our bodies, our sense of visceral connection to each other, and understand that it is possible to imagine life and existence together very differently. And we will need that, because the way that we are living today is unsustainable and is inherently violent. So if we continue to do that, this is going to have serious implications for the future generations. And I think what education can do in that sense, and what the white woman can do in that sense, is to model that way of being where we connect through our vulnerabilities. We connect through our collective pain, our collective fragility, our collective brokenness. It's not about feeling good or being affirmed, being seen as looking good, but it is about actually going to the space of discomfort where we see that we are all vulnerable, we are all in the same boat, and we need to change. Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster for the next generations.
So it's a lot about understanding, yes, about understanding ourselves and understanding the world, yes? That's what I can see.
Yes, but it's understanding differently.
Mm-hmm.
So as part of the Enlightenment, we have been relating to knowledge as a way to control the world or to control ourselves. And I think while this gives us some gifts, I think there are other ways to relate to knowledge where it's not about control, but it's also about how do we relate to what we cannot understand, because we don't relate. We have been told that we relate to each other through knowledge. So I put you in a box, I put me in a box, and I put the world in a box. But actually we relate already without the boxes. So remembering how to relate beyond identity, beyond understanding, beyond knowledge is as important as having the intellectual accountability to understand the past. So it involves both intellectual accountability, which is about going to the space of discomfort, stop turning our back to what makes it difficult or to what makes us not look good, going there, dwelling there, but also learning to surrender existentially to the experience of the world through our bodies together. So without blame or guilt, it is about learning to sense this reconnection with each other.
The whole body approach.
The whole body.
So I'd like to ask you for the end something about your older work, about you did something on critical education, yes? So I'd like to ask you, what is critical education? Who actually is critical?
Okay.
Do I have to be critical as an educator or the students I'm educating?
Okay, so critical thinking in education is understood in many different ways. Some people think it's problem solving, or others think it's anti-bias. My approach is that critical thinking is about understanding and looking at the recurrent mistakes of the past and of the present so that we can make only different mistakes in the future. So that involves looking at different perspectives and the limits and gifts of different perspectives, looking at tensions, paradoxes, contradictions, and sitting with this tensions, paradoxes, and contradictions, sitting with questions, looking at power relations, things like the questions, who decides, in whose name, for whose benefit, and how come, but also where does this perspective come from, where does it lead to, how can it be thought, how can this issue be thought very differently. So it's about expanding our frames of reference and understanding the implications of this frame so that we take responsibility. That's the accountable thinking that I'm talking about, so that we take responsibility for the ways that we think and the ways that this thinking relates to how we live in the world. But I don't believe that just changing the thinking is going to change everything else. We have to relearn to sense very differently our connection with each other.
And that's not only in global education, that's education
full stop.
Full stop, yes, totally, yes. Thank you, Vanessa, for your visions on education. Thank you for listening and watching.
Inviting me.